Hello everyone, today we will be looking at some of the new improvements that I have made to my homemade musical keyboard. So the main thing is that, first of all, the internal battery is gone, because I've done a lot of extra work to this thing, and the space slowly filled up so I don't have space for a battery, and I have to use an external battery like this one, which I can plug into this connector, and it works. So now, the first main advantage of this over my other one is that it uses completely custom switches using these little buttons. So these buttons are basically the exact, these little metal discs are basically the exact same thing that you find inside of regular buttons, and in fact I can demonstrate how I got these out. Here is a smaller version of the button that I used to take apart because I don't have any of the big buttons anymore. So notice, if you look closely, it has the main button in the middle, but also 4 support pins that are holding it in place, and I just cut them off, like so. So now the support pins are basically gone. Then I lift up this thing, and there is a small metal disc inside of this, like this. If you can see it, holding up a small metal disc. And I basically use these, but larger versions of them, for the switches. And the nice thing about these is that they're quieter. They don't make loud clicking noises. So that's kind of nice, and you can actually hear the music. The second main improvement is that the speaker is now completely removable. I'm using the same speaker that I did before, but it's attached using these screw terminals, which were originally used to deliver power to the unit. So you can connect whatever speaker you want over here, or you can use this little headphone jack to connect it to some external speakers, like these, with a male-to-male audio cable. So I plug one end into there, the other end into here. Now I can turn this on, and now you can hear. Okay, so that's that. Now, the other main advantage is of this thing that I didn't find out until earlier today is that this thing can run on multiple voltages. It's currently running on around 4 volts from this lithium cell, but it can handle other voltages too. If I want to take this thing on my upcoming trip to Europe, but I am a bit worried that they might not accept this little lithium battery. So I have this little 9-volt battery, Dollar Tree 9-volt battery, and let's see if we can use this for my thing. So I'm just going to stick it into these screw terminals right here, and tighten the screws. And now if we turn it on, well, it's a bit hard to hear, but let's just use the external speaker. So now it's working off the 9-volt battery, which is nice because it can work off of a bunch of different voltages. It can probably go up all the way to 15 volts if you need to, because the main timer chips are all they're very versatile in their volt range. They can work anywhere from around 3 volts to upwards of 15 or 20 volts. So now, notice how the little green charging indicator likes to light up when it's running. I'm not sure if the charging circuit that I'm using is dead, so I better be careful with that. But now let's move on to the next main advantage of this thing, is that it's easier to take apart. I had an old Tesla coil once that I showed in a couple of my videos, but its coil got a little damaged, and as I try to fix it, I just realized that this would be way too much of a problem, so I just stripped it down for the parts. And some of those parts were these screws and nylon standoffs that are finding a second life over here. So we can just unscrew these, and we're in. And let's move this out of the way too. Now, it's still being held together by the various wires, so we can take a look at the internals. It's just, it's 5 of the exact same circuit repeated over and over again. The big blue boxes with the golden screw are the tuners, or well, they're trimmer potentiometers, but they set the exact frequency that these oscillators make, and so they act like tuners in a sense, and they can be tuned using a small screwdriver or something like an X-Acto knife with anything with a small blade that can operate this screw. It's pretty windy outside, so apologies for any wind noises. Also, notice that there's this little 2-transistor thing over here. This is a proper Class B amplifier, so the output is a little bit louder, although to me I don't hear a difference, and there's plenty of flux filled over here from just trying to fix various issues relating to continuity. And the funny thing is that these capacitors that I'm using, I think they were from some old switching power supply board that I got many, many years ago, and I chopped them off. This was before I had the soldering iron, so I actually had to chop them off to extract them, and I had to solder this extra wire on when I was building this thing because the leads were so short from my chopping. And these are 555 timers, and the dirty trick that I did with the legs hanging off the 555 timer is still there. So let's put this thing back together. So it's all back together again, and it works like a charm. Hope you enjoyed.